There's an unwritten rule at MIT. Whoever solves a bounty problem posted on the bulletin board gets their name etched in the school's history. Nobody expected the problem that stumped the entire MIT to be effortlessly solved by a janitor like me. My name is Will. I'm an orphan who grew up in foster care. My world used to be nothing but fighting, working, and surviving until I realized my brain was capable of so much more than that. Right now, I'm sitting in a police station for a fight. Fortunately, I'm well versed in these matters. I know all the legal loopholes. After getting out, I saw a new problem on the bounty board and casually scribbled a few lines. Little did I know that problem would change my life completely. Though I work odd jobs and clean toilets, my only passion is reading. Whether it's history, chemistry, economics, law codes, or philosophy, I can handle it all. Life's been grimy, but you can't hide talent. That day, as I was writing on the bulletin board, a professor spotted me. He probably thought I was messing around and chased me all the way to the end of the hallway, but I escaped. What I didn't know was he had discovered I'd written the official solution and began searching for me. At that moment, I was hanging out with friends at a bar. It was Harvard territory, full of self-important high achievers. My friend tried to hit on a girl and pretended to be from Harvard to save face, but he was quickly found out. A blonde guy seized the moment to show off, mocking my friend and flaunting his knowledge. I couldn't stand it, so I stepped in and answered all his questions. I spoke calmly and he panicked. To keep up appearances, he quoted some book as if it were his own idea.
Is your own idea just to impress some girls? Embarrass my friend? See, the sad thing about a guy like you is in 50 years, you're gonna start doing some thinking on your own, and you're gonna come up with the fact that there are two certainties in life. One, don't do that. And two, you dropped 150 grand on a fucking education you could have got for $1.50 in late charges at the public library.
I immediately called him out and his face turned green. I thought it was over, but then the girl came over on her own.
You're an idiot. I've been sitting over there for 45 minutes waiting for you to come and talk to me.
I seized the chance to introduce myself. She smiled, genuine and natural, and even handed me her number. A few days later, I was in court representing myself. I knew how to use the law to my advantage. Statutes, loopholes, procedures, all crystal clear. The judge couldn't find fault in my arguments, but given my criminal record, I was still sentenced. Professor Rambo from MIT appeared out of nowhere and told me he could help me get out on two conditions. First, I had to do math research with him weekly. Second, I had to see a therapist. Reluctantly, I agreed to avoid prison. He first arranged a renowned psychologist for me. I read the doctor's autobiography in advance to find his weak spot. I habitually control the conversation to protect myself. Once I confused the other person, I didn't have to expose my true self.
Do you find it hard to hide the fact that you're gay?
When I said that, his face changed and he angrily walked off. The professor then switched to a hypnotist. That time, I pretended to be hypnotized. When he thought I was under, I started spouting nonsense.
Start dancing. It's beautiful.
I used to believe that if I acted tough enough and spoke harsh enough, no one could truly enter my heart. But I didn't expect him to bring in his friend, Sean. The first day we met, Sean had everyone else leave the room. I still wore my usual sneer, but at that moment I had no idea the man in front of me would change my life forever. In subsequent sessions, I evaded his questions and looked everywhere for weaknesses that would crack him. I thought he'd be like the rest, until I saw the oil painting on the wall and suddenly found a breakthrough. I became harsher and harsher until I stepped on his bottom line, his lover.
Was she, banging some other guy? If you ever disrespect my wife again, I will end you. I will fucking end you.
Though he was furious, he forgave me. Even more surprising, he wanted to continue to the next session. Meanwhile, I went on a first date with Betty. We hit it off and even shared a kiss. It felt wonderful, but I always carried a sense of inferiority. I didn't dare tell her I was an orphan, and I didn't ask for a second date. I yearned for a normal life, but my past scars made me constantly doubt whether I deserved this happiness. I wasn't afraid of failure, I was afraid of being seen clearly. At my second meeting with Sean, I planned to continue my old tactic of intimidating the therapist. But this time he took me to a park. We sat on a bench. I was ready to find his flaws, bracing for his counterattack, but instead, he began talking about himself. He said that although I know a lot, I have not seen the world. I had indeed read many books, but I haven't experienced war, true love, or real loss. Those words struck me at my deepest vulnerability. Though I appeared cynical, I had spent my early years abandoned and abused, living in the shadows of loss and unlovability.
Look at you. I don't see an intelligent, confident man. I see a cocky, scared, shitless kid.
At last, he said, "It's your turn," and left me speechless. It was the first time in my life I realized that pretending to be smart wasn't the solution and opening up didn't mean failure. At our third session, I said nothing. I just sat quietly. Faced with his sincerity, I no longer wanted to hurt anyone or push him away. By the fourth meeting, I finally spoke. I told a dry joke, mentioned my date with Betty, and admitted I wanted to get closer. but I feared she'd learn of my imperfections. To show me that no one is perfect, Sean told me about his wife. He said her farts could wake the dogs in the yard. I laughed, but I also saw the pain in his eyes because he loved her and she was gone. He said true intimacy is not perfection, but accepting each other's imperfections. If you keep hiding yourself, he said, you'll miss the person you most want to embrace. His words were like a key that unlocked the door I'd sealed in my heart long ago. I finally made up my mind not to avoid this relationship anymore. I kept talking, unaware that my time had run out. I rushed to see Betty immediately, hoping for a fresh start. But she couldn't go out today. She said she had proton spectrum homework. I was about to walk away, but I couldn't let it go, so I grabbed a napkin and solved her homework in 5 minutes.
I couldn't wait till tomorrow.
Our relationship deepened, but when Betty suggested meeting my family, I immediately refused. The more someone craves love, the more they fear love will expose their wounds. At that moment, I was not just rejecting Betty, I was rejecting the most authentic, vulnerable part of myself. Then the professor brought me good news. He'd found me a job as part of a think tank at a cutting-edge tech company, but I knew I wasn't ready. I didn't go to the interview. I got a friend to bluff his way through for me. At the same time, Betty and I had a big fight. She wanted to go to California for school and wanted me to come too, but I was afraid to leave Boston, and even more afraid she'd find out I was an unwanted orphan. I yelled at her to shut up and said she didn't understand my world.
Because I love you!
Don't bullshit me! Don't you fucking bullshit me!
I love you. I want to hear you say that you don't love me. Because if you say that, then I won't call you, and I won't be in your life.
I don't love you. I couldn't expose myself, not out of arrogance, but because deep down I didn't believe anyone would truly accept me. I desperately wanted Betty to stay, desperately wanted to be loved, but my inability to accept myself ended up hurting her. I reverted to that defiant, mistrusting guy. Frustrated, I grew weary of discussing math with the professor. I even burned those precious answers in front of him. But when I saw the professor kneeling, picking up the charred papers, I felt remorse. When I met with Sean, I told him I didn't go to the interview because I preferred a simple job, but he didn't understand. If I could clean toilets anywhere, why did I insist on being at MIT? Why solve a problem only we two know the answer to?
What do you really want to do?
When Sean said those words, my heart began to waver. I argued with him, but inside I felt like crying.
I want to be a shepherd.
On one hand, it was self-protection. On the other, if I truly chased this dream, it would feel like I was betraying the friends who suffered through the hard days with me. I feared entering a world where no one understood me. Sean was silent for a moment, then stood up.
Wasting my fucking time.
After our fight, I'd return to the construction site and continue those familiar mechanical jobs. At that moment, a coworker came and found me. He too wanted me to leave.
I'm gonna fucking live here the rest of my life.
Unexpectedly, he got emotional.
Look, you're my best friend, so don't take this the wrong way. In 20 years, if you're still living here, coming over my house to watch the Patriots game, still working construction, I'll fucking kill you.
In that moment, I fell silent. I'm afraid to succeed because I'm afraid of losing my sense of belonging. I'm afraid that once I move forward, no one will be there. But my friend's words gave me courage. To truly understand my heart, I sought out Sean again. What I didn't expect was that the professor and Sean were arguing. Neither would back down. One saying I couldn't waste my talent, the other saying I couldn't waste my life. When I pushed open the door, they both stopped. Seeing me return, the professor silently walked out. Sean didn't say much, he just handed me a stack of documents. My childhood records from foster care, those photos I couldn't bear to look at. Sean said he'd had the same experience.
It's not your fault.
I got the logic, of course, but from childhood until now, every pain, every moment of abandonment, I'd habitually told myself, I'm bad, I'm not worthy. I kept avoiding, refuting, pushing him away, but inside I was wavering. If it really wasn't my fault, then all my lifelong inferiority, anger, coldness, and retreat were unnecessary.
It's not your fault. I know. No, you don't. It's not your fault. I know. It's not your fault. All right? It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean. Not you. It's not your fault.
Sean repeated those words over and over, each striking at the wounds I'd painstakingly hidden, but never healed. I cried like a child. Finally, I began to accept myself, forgive myself, and for the first time truly prepare for my future. On the day of departure, my friends bought me a beat-up car to celebrate my 21st birthday. Though old, it's enough to take me anywhere. Sean told me he too was setting out to begin his own new life. He said, in our conversations, I was healing myself too. In his mailbox, Sean found a letter I'd written him. I told him I was heading off, but more than the job, I want to find that girl I once hurt because of insecurity. I once thought talent was a burden. It made me different, but also made it impossible to fit in. So I armed myself with anger, coldness, and sarcasm to fend off everyone who came close. But now I understand. What truly alienated me from the world wasn't talent. It was my fear of change. Life is not an equation to be solved with one answer. It's more like a journey that requires courage to set out, to face scars, to forgive the past, and to learn to live for yourself. This time, I will not hesitate again.